And welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit, here back after what has been a frenetic start to week one of the playoffs. Absolutely pumped to be here, nevertheless. Before we get into what's going to be a big show, guys, just want to give a quick shout out to both Stadium Scene and The Cover, both those networks, week in and week out, continuing to promote not only my work here at the Daily Dribble, but also a whole host of other content creators in and around Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the US. So very, very appreciative of all their continued hard work and support. As always, guys, a big thank you to all of you as well, continuing to tune in and week out. Had a lot of really exciting conversations with all of you across all the socials from throughout the week: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. I'll get into that momentarily. A couple of the points over the last few weeks have surrounded some of my lack of trust in certain teams. Maybe one of those teams is starting to make me a believer, but we'll get into that momentarily. What we're going to do today, just got a couple of very, very, very quick odds and ends, and then just want to make some of the key takeaways from the opening week of the playoffs. So without further ado, let's get into things. Now, as I alluded to, very quiet on the odds and ends front, but a couple of awards were handed out during the week. We had the most improved player going to Tyrese Maxey from the 76ers, very well deserved there, just edging out Kobe White in that one. The sixth man of the year went to Naz Reid from the Timberwolves. Certainly has helped his big man stocks recently. Cat missing a bit of time certainly helped him. Gobert, not always too reliable on the offensive end. So very, very deserving there, Naz Reid. And the clutch player of the year, thought it was going to go to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It didn't. It ended up going to Steph Curry from the Warriors. So those three announced over the course of the last couple of days. Still waiting on the Coach of the Year, MVP, all that good stuff still set to come over the next couple of days. But certainly very deserving players there. Also on odds and ends front, the Charlotte Hornets interviewed JJ Redick for their head coaching job during the week. Now, after Steve Clifford's departure, they're certainly looking to fill that void as quickly as possible, just to give their offseason as much continuity as possible. I actually wouldn't mind seeing JJ in a head coaching role. He's lately been a pundit there for NBA TV, doing good things on that front in the media space. But I certainly think he'd play a very, very fun brand of basketball. And with a player like LaMelo Ball at his disposal, should I say, he'll certainly help bring that excitement. So I think that could be a little, quite an exciting little partnership that could certainly play out. We'll see over the next week or two whether he gets appointed or not. But positive signs there in Charlotte. Hopefully this can be a bit of a catalyst for turning their fortunes around, because the last couple of seasons have been very, very ordinary, to say the least. Now, outside of LaMelo Ball, who he himself has struggled with injury woes, there hasn't been that much to get excited for. But with this news, hopefully that, as I said, can be that catalyst, can get things moving in that upward trajectory. Time will tell. Guys, let's move ahead.
The Daily Dribble.
As I mentioned, a very, very quick odds and ends there. Very quiet week on the news front. But everything is surrounding the playoffs at the moment. Now, it has been a barnstorming week. Both conferences putting up some fantastic matchups. I've just got a couple of quick points here that have really stood out to me over the opening week or so of games. So I'm going to rip through them pretty quickly. Recording this one on Saturday at the moment, the Pacers, Bucks, their game 3 has just ended in an overtime thriller there. Tyrese Halliburton securing the win. As I speak at the moment, as I said, recording this on a Saturday, the Clippers and Mavs are facing off in game 3. Likewise, later today, the Suns and Timberwolves have their third game as well. So trying to get this one done pretty quickly so I can go tune into those matchups. Just quickly, I just want to mention how good is playoff ball, though. The intensity has just been dialed up another level. Defense has gone to another level within that as well. There's been some real brick shows, combined with some elite defensive performances, with multiple instances of teams failing to reach that 100 mark. Here are some of my key takeaways, though, and I'll start with this one, because I've copped a bit of flack, which is good. I love it. I can take it. I'm a big boy. Regarding my stance on OKC and the Wolves more so in particular. Now, I've got here, have I been harsh on the Wolves? They were super, super dominant in their Game 1 victory over the Suns, winning that one 120-95. They came out and blitzed the Suns in the third quarter of game 2 to win that one 105-93. I've not been a believer in them at all this season. And, I believe seeing is believing. I kind of thought during the regular season, it depends how much stock you put into the regular season. Like, they were certainly incredible. But when it gets dialed up into playoff ball, that's when I'll kind of be able to assess them a little bit more. And across these 2 games, I wouldn't say I'm a total believer in them as of yet, but my opinion is certainly starting to change of them. I think Anthony Edwards is a bona fide superstar. Everything runs through him as it should. I certainly believe, if you were looking at the odds for next season, he would probably be one of the front runners for MVP, I think. As I said, I've copped a lot of flack with my stance on them, but I think with Edwards leading the team, accompanied by a cat there, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, there's enough that they could actually, I think, cause a few problems. I don't think they're a title chance, but as I said, they've performed a lot better in these opening 2 games than I would have anticipated. And I think, I'm not going to say they'll beat the Suns yet. You don't judge a game until both teams have played on home court. But they currently sit 2-0 up, which is a very nice position to be in at the moment. So looking forward to speaking on that next week. By then, this series might have ended, maybe not quite. But that'll tell whether I'm a believer or not. My next point, teams have to learn how to close out games. Now, the Lakers bottled, should I say. They bottled game 2 in Denver. They were up by as many as 20 points before going down to a Jamal Murray buzzer beater there, which was absolute heartbreak. I was watching it unfold, and as soon as LeBron pulled up from that top of the three, I was like, oh, this is danger. Murray got the ball, danced, stepped sideways. It was a really good contest from AD, but Murray was just ice in the veins. So, as I said, up by as many as 20 points. They bottled that one, as did Philly in games 1 and 2 against the Knicks. Game 2 in particular, with 47 seconds to go, they led the Knicks by 5 points and had a free throw to come there from Kyle Lowry. He ended up missing that one before Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo hit massive threes to ice the game. A couple of clutch free throws from OG Anunoby sealed it there. In fairness, if you've kind of seen the reports coming out over the last couple of days, there were 2 missed foul calls there on Tyrese Maxey in the last couple of seconds of this one. But still, to come out of both games without a win would have been super disappointing for them, given the commanding position that they gave up in both. Likewise, the Pelicans should have jagged game 1 against the Thunder there. They somehow only managed to score 2 points in the final 3.5 minutes to choke this one. Again, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it was only a couple of seconds to go. Iced that game and end one there. Very disappointing. But this league, it's a make or miss league, and some of the opportunities and positions that are being given up at the moment, a lot of these teams are going to potentially look back in a week or two and think, 1 or 2 moments changed this series. For the Lakers in particular, I'm heartbroken to say the least, but I'll get into that momentarily. Dame time only seems to extend for 24 minutes. Now, I made these notes prior to today's Game 3. He had a fantastic showing despite the loss there. Across the opening 2 games, though, Dame had been money. Cash money with Giannis sitting out, but that was throughout the first half. Now, in both the first 2 games, he was just cooking teams till halftime and then couldn't buy a basket afterwards. If they want to go deep in this playoff run, it's going to be imperative that they have him at his absolute best throughout 48 minutes of a game. Likewise, hoping, they need the best out of Chris Middleton. He dropped 40 plus today in their overtime loss versus Pacers. Wasn't quite enough to get the job done. But these are the type of performances they need to keep the ship afloat until Giannis comes back. Still taking the Pacers in this series, though, especially leading 2-1 now. After losing game 2, losing that one, they got one on the road. That's all they had to do. They've clutched up today at home, getting that win at home. So 2-1, heading to game 4 there in Indiana as well. If they can get that one to 3-1, then look out. Once you lose on the road, and especially without your marquee man, I think this is going to be a long road back for Giannis if he can get there, and for the Bucks as a whole. Speaking of the Pacers, though, let's move ahead. I was very tongue-tied in that little segment there with the Bucks. Speaking of the Pacers, though, Pascal Siakam has been cash money. Now, across the first two games, game one, he dropped 36 points, 13 rebounds on 60% from the field. Whilst in game two, he had 37 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, going at 70% from the field. This is the Siakam we want to see more of. And I think if he can continue with that kind of rich vein of form, it's going to put the Pacers in fantastic stead to go deep in this playoffs. Halliburton hasn't quite been, from a scoring perspective, as good as he was earlier in the season. That's okay. If you've got Siakam picking up the slack, likewise Miles Turner scoring the ball well, they're a scary proposition. Scary proposition there. Like 73 points across 2 games. That's elite. So here's hoping that can continue for Siakam. My final point is, do you believe in miracles? I'm trying to. The Lakers currently sit in a 3-0 hole. Is there any hope? Now, LeBron helped guide the Cavs to a 3-1 victory in the 2016 NBA Finals against Golden State Warriors there. This was the first time in NBA Finals history that a team had overcome a 3-1 deficit. No team has ever come back from a 3-0 hole in the playoffs. Can LeBron conjure a miracle? In NBA history, teams were 0-152 when trailing 3-0. And in only 4 instances have teams actually managed to get it to a Game 7. That does not bode well. As a Lakers fan, it does not bode well at all. I have faith, though. The annoying thing is they should have won at least one, probably 2 of these games, and they've just faded. Now, AD has been unstoppable for phases of this series, but has gone missing in others. In Game 2, he had 32 points up until three-quarter time before having 0 in the final term. Now, that just can't happen. As I said, they bottled a 20-point lead here. I'm going to say your marquee guy. LeBron's still the guy, but AD is meant to be the number one. If he's scoring 0 points in the final quarter, you kind of get what you deserve almost. He's got to be on the offensive, on the attack all the time if they're to have any hope. Everything from this moment onwards is going to have to be executed to perfection. 3-0, but it's not over until the fat lady sings. That might be wishful thinking, but if I can't hold on to hope at the minute, what do I really have? So here's hoping. Fingers crossed. Guys, there's just a real quick couple of little takeaways that have stood out to me across the first week of the NBA playoffs. The action is coming fast and furious, to say the least. I'm certainly looking forward to joining you guys next week, recapping the rest of the action from round 1 of the playoffs, whilst also turning our attention to round 2. A lot of the matchups will have already been set. We need to have a look at the schedule. Some might have started, possibly, maybe not by that point, but nevertheless, certainly look forward to speaking to you guys all about that then. Till then, though, guys, have a fantastic week. Continue to stay up to date with all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok to get all the latest news from the NBA and the NBL as soon as it breaks, as well as subscribing wherever you listen to the show, whether you're watching this one on YouTube or listening via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other leading podcast providers. Certainly appreciate all the continued love and hard work and love and support of the hard work I'm doing here. Till then, guys, have a fantastic week. Enjoy another awesome week of the playoffs. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care.